The Rolling Stone, they put out their top 500 albums of all time. Okay? Now, there's a time, you talk 40 years ago, hip-hop wouldn't even, if Rolling Stone did this, hip-hop wouldn't even be mentioned, right? Because it didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? But now, of course, hip-hop is there. So they did their top 500. And then within that, you got your top 5 hip-hop albums. All right? And I think there's going to be some issues with these top 5 hip-hop albums. Let's talk. I'm going to go through the top 5 hip-hop albums, right? What they are, and then we're going to talk about, we'll discuss each one of them. All right, so let's start with number 5. We're going to go backwards. We're going to start with number 5. Number 5, Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die. All right, that's number 5. Okay. Number 4, Kendrick Lamar, How to Pimp a Butterfly. That's number 4. Number 3, Kanye West, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. That's number 3. Number 2, Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. And number 1 is Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. All right, so now let's go. We'll do it again. Starting with number 1, just so that you got it. Number 1, you got Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Number 2, once again, Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Number 3, My Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. Number 4, How to Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. And then number 5 is Ready to Die by the Notorious B.I.G. Where we at with it? Obviously, right off top, you notice a big omission right from the beginning. There's a huge omission, right? Illmatic's not there. So right off top, that's a problem.
And let's throw a bone. Let's throw a bone to the other side of the aisle, shall we? Even if you disagree with that, guess what else is not there? Reasonable Doubt ain't there.
Reasonable Doubt's not there. I don't know. But see, I don't know if I put Reasonable Doubt there. I don't know if I put Reasonable Doubt in the top 5. Anyway,
Don't do that.
We would not do that. But let's throw a bone to the other side, like I said.
Okay.
There's people who are out there. Hip hop is split in half. There's people who feel like Jay-Z got the best album, best debut album ever, and there's people who feel like Nas has it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you disagree with Illmatic belonging there, you probably think Reasonable Doubt should be there, and it's not there. And there's no Jay-Z album there, period.
No Jay-Z album. Matter of fact,
there's no Nas album there, period.
There's no Nas album there, period. There's no Jay-Z album there, period. On the top 500 list, a Jay-Z album doesn't appear until 60-something. Reasonable Doubt was somewhere around 60-something. Illmatic was at like 46 or something like that for the top 500 albums. Okay, so clearly for me, and I'm pretty sure everybody that's on this panel, and probably everybody that's in the chat, Illmatic should be on this list from the Rolling Stone. But let me ask you, if you're adding Illmatic here, who does it replace on this list?
Miseducation.
Yeah. I have an issue with Miseducation. That might be that's the top 5 hip hop, or that's top 5. That's top just 5. The number 1 ranked hip hop album in their 500, right?
So in their 500, the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the number 1 ranked hip hop album in their 500.
All right. I guess you can't really argue against it being a hip hop album. It's definitely a hip hop album, but it's not even 50% rap on that album.
Right.
So But when you say hip hop opposed to rap, I'll let it slide. I think it's definitely in the top 10 hip hop album. I don't think it's number one. I
I
definitely
like that
don't think
distinction.
Kanye's Dark Twisted Fantasy is in the top five. Um, I could agree with Biggie's album being in that top five. What was number five?
Number five was Biggie, Ready to Die.
All right. So what was the list again? Lauren.
So you got Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. You got Public Enemy, Takes a Nation, a Million to Hold Us Back. You got Kanye West, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. Kendrick Lamar, How to Pimp a Butterfly, and then Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die.
Me personally, I don't think any one of those would make my top five. If I was gonna let one in, it'd probably be the Public Enemy, Take a Nation.
Yeah. I would for me, I would probably have Public Enemy. I would, not that I don't like The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That's one of my favorite albums of all time. It is. Right? I have it standing along with Illmatic. I have it standing up on, I have a vinyl album standing up, right? Because I really do love that album, but I don't think it's a purely hip hop album. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't. It's one of the greatest albums. I think albums of all time. Yes, but I don't think it's a purely hip hop album. So I think it should come off the list. You know what I mean? So I would take that off the list. Savvy, I know how you feel about Kanye West. My Dark Twisted Fantasy. I know how you feel about it, but that was coming off the list for me.
I feel you. Okay.
That one for me, and I love Kanye.
I'll make a case.
He's a little bit nuts, but
yeah. After you go, I'll make a case for it.
All right, but I just don't. I just take that one off my list. I take, I don't know what my full list is. I know Illmatic's on my list. That PE joint is on my list. Probably Paid in Full is on my list.
Right.
You know what I mean? Ready to Die. I don't know if it's on my list. I know people gonna be like, yo, that's blasphemous. I don't know if it's on my list. My list. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's on my list. I gotta think a little bit. I'm not sure if it's on my list. It's in my top 10 though. It's in my top 10. You know what I'm saying? I definitely love the album. I just don't know if it's on my list. You know what I mean? Freezy, what do you think about the list?
I think it's trash. I think the list is trash. Whoever compiled this may listen to hip hop, may listen to rap music, but in terms of hip hop albums all time, I think Lauryn Hill's album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, is definitely like a soul rap fusion album, right?
Right.
But when you look at a criteria, if there is a criteria aside from being hip hop album, an album that's 30% rap and 70% soul, to me, is not a rap album or a hip hop album. You know what I'm saying? I think first of all, let me establish this. Anything that uses the word hip hop and excludes Nas is trash, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know how I feel about Nas. If you mention hip hop and don't mention Nas, you are basically hustling backwards for your hip hop audience. You know what I'm saying? So for me, Illmatic has to be in this list. I rank it 1 or 2. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely in that top 5. And if you hold my feet to the fire and make me pick 5 albums that go, I'll pick 5, and I think it'll be just as good as that list that Rolling Stone put out. And I'll give you 5. So I'll start with Illmatic, right?
Okay.
All right. So I'll include Paid in Full.
Okay.
Into the Woo, 36 Chambers.
Okay.
I don't know if people forget. People may have forgotten about that. I think people have forgotten about the Chronic by Dr. Dre.
Yep.
Yep. That may be there, and I'm at a toss up between the Adventures of the Slick Rick album and Midnight Marauders by A Tribe Called Quest.
Okay.
Damn.
Okay.
Freezy, smoke that.
Bro, I can't argue with anything. I'm gonna tell you what, the Illmatic, Paid in Full. Did you say Public
36
Enemy?
Chambers.
Did you say Public Enemy?
No, I excluded Public Enemy, but I did add
36 Chambers, right?
The Wu-Tang Into the Wu 36 Chambers is one. Midnight Marauders is one. The Chronic by Dr. Dre is one. Paid in Full and Illmatic.
Yeah. And see, of course, Illmatic. I think I need to throw 36 Chambers in there too. I mean, come on, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Game changer. That 36 Chambers is definitely a game changer.
It's hard because every artist has multiple albums, right? Unless you're one of those one and done artists, right? So a top 5 artist is a lot easier to do than a top 5 albums because there's so many albums.
Right.
But I feel like albums I don't see enough. I don't see AT enough. I have that
listed.
I don't see The Infamous enough.
Right.
I don't see Purple Tape enough. You feel me? Things like that. I'm glad Freezy said The Chronic, so I don't feel pressure to mention The Chronic, but I don't see Doggy Style enough.
Right.
Even though recently people have been showing a lot more love to Doggy Style than I expected. I was surprised by that. But I'm like, a list like this, I wish that they would do like how Complex does it and tell you who was involved in compiling it.
Right.
Because at least then you could go and you could scope out some of the sensibilities that these people are bringing to their list, and you could ask them about it. Like, did you think Lauryn Hill's Miseducation was really better than a lot of the albums that came out in that same time? Not only that, but if you wanted to have, let's say the conversation went like this, right? Let's have at least one woman rapper with an album on here, and they chose Miseducation. I'm like, do you put that over the albums that Rhapsody has made? I don't. As a rap album, no.
Right.
Well, here's where it gets tricky, Savvy, because the list is top 500 albums, right? So, and then you're taking from that list of albums and pulling out the hip hop ones in order. So, someone can argue that the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is a better album than whichever hip hop album you want to throw in there. It just so happens that the list is made from a list already. You know what I mean?
True.
Like if you take album out of it and just say top hip hop albums, that their list may change. That's because true. They may be looking at the body of work, that complete albums, as a better album than per se a whichever individual hip hop album. That's where it's the tricky list.
And that's the same reason why, Tony. That's the same reason why I'm not mad at them putting My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy on that list. Because when you put that album up against a lot of other albums, regardless of genre, that album is the king of the hill for a long time. Like, I can't think of an album that got all 4 elements, right? Like, it's the avatar of albums. Like it has some of the best beats I've ever heard on that album. It has some great raps on there. Granted, as an artist, Kanye gets excluded from the conversation of top 5 Together Live because he has people writing for him. But a conglomerate of rappers writing songs for an album enhances the argument for that album in the end product, because as an album now it's better. If he'd written it all by himself, he would score more points as an artist, but the album would be diminished. You see what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for any other albums that are collaborative in that sort of nature, right? Like Cool and Dre was giving people heat, okay? And I was like, if y'all put this with this person and they just wrote the raps to it, you could really create like a Frankenstein style of album, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm gonna take this piece and that piece and that piece, and then add that all together, and now we have a great product. But I don't like this list because I can't even nail down the criteria.
Right.
Like you got Ready to Die at number 5, the bottom. Right? You got To Pimp right before that. Right? What was number 3?
It was number 3 was Kanye West.
Dark Fantasy.
You see, I don't think that one is that one goes above the two below it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think first of all they have to, because like Tony is saying, the reason why the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is up there is because they made a top 500 albums list, which they have the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill at 20 something on the list. And since they categorized it as hip hop, then they just, hey, this is the top hip hop album. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I think they need to look at the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill and decide where they actually categorize that album. You know what I mean?
I think the Rolling Stone got to stop making lists altogether.
At least hip hop, because you know they always do. Listen, first of all, they always do Nas wrong.
Yeah,
Rolling Stone. They diss Nas every time he drops an album. You know, they diss him. I don't know what Nas did to Rolling Stone or whatever, but they diss Nas every single time. You know what I'm saying? They diss King's Disease.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically they said that he gave a backhanded slap to women in the album. If you read the review, that's basically what they said.
Right.
You know, they diss him every time. I don't know. Let me get to this call. Call you live. What's popping?
Sam.
Yo, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. It's my first time actually calling in on the front stoop. I saw the alert, and I was like, okay, this is definitely going to be an interesting topic. So let me pay attention. Let me slide away from the game real quick, and let me throw my 2 cents in. Lauryn Hill's album first of all, let me say this. I never pay attention to any of these publications. I never watch any of these award shows, none of that nonsense, because all it's going to do is just make me rethink what I think I know about subjects that I know about, that they don't have any clue about, and they're just trying to get people riled up. So I never pay attention to none of that nonsense. Definitely not no Rolling Stones nonsense. But just for the sake of, you know, we discussing hip hop, there is no way, and I love Lauryn Hill's album. I owned 2 copies when it first came out back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. 2 copies, right? 2 copies in the car. Blew one out, had another one just in case. That's how much I love that album. It's a disservice to her as a hip hop artist to categorize her album as a hip hop album and to throw it amongst the beast of hip hop albums. As a hip hop album, can you compare her album to Get Rich or Die Trying?
No.
Right, exactly. No. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That album, it expands so far beyond hip hop. You know what I mean?
And it's not hip hop. I mean, it has hip hop elements because she's a hip hop artist. But you can't put her there. You can't put that one there. I love that Kanye West album. You can't put that. There's too many albums you'd have to put in front of that album.
Yeah.
One of the brothers mentioned Tribe Called as Midnight Marauders.
Midnight Marauders.
There's There's no way Dark Fantasy can see Midnight Marauders.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I don't, it's not even going to talk about that Illmatic top 1, 2, 3 greatest hip hop album of all time, or maybe one of the great albums of all time. It's not even. It's like it's not worth. This list is not worth discussing if you don't have true hip hop music. As time goes by, another one that fails, that no one seems to remember anymore. Mobb Deep, the infamous.
Right.
You can't put with the infamous. You know what I mean? There's like certain things that when you get into your car and you got a certain vibe, you got a certain movement on. It's like that's what stands the test of times as far as makes great albums.
Yeah, no doubt. And I don't know what the Rolling Stone. I don't know why they, I don't. Like Savvy said, I'd like to see who actually sits down and comes up with, talks about hip hop, right? Because you can't have, no offense to anybody out there, but the dude that covered Nas's King's Disease, some corny white dude that I look at him and I'm like, does he even really listen to hip hop? You know what I'm saying? Like, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how can you have them judging? You know what I'm saying? You got to have people that are immersed in the culture judging the music.
It's because rock and roll is freaking
from day one. And I like Pimp a Butterfly. Pimp a Butterfly again does not belong in, and it's not a new school versus old school. It's about the classic materials. You know what I'm saying? Like the classic beats, the materials, and the Wu's first album. The Wu's first album alone, that's just, come on. For that not to even be, and I can make an argument where you can find other albums better than the Wu's first album. But if someone said the Wu's first album has to be there, and the 36 Chamber, of course.
Right.
You wouldn't be able to argue with some of these things, some of these people. That's why I don't get down when I hear all these publications and who's the top this, who's the top that, because all they're gonna do is make me angry. You know what I'm saying? But that's my little two. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put you on half and put the game on the other half. So I'm gonna listen out.
I appreciate it, bro.
Absolutely. Everybody, good night. I love the talk.
Appreciate it.
Hey, yo,
Peace,
my
brother.
man, you sound like a younger version of Star at times. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, he left off. He left off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it is. What are we gonna do? Rolling Stones. You know what I mean?
It
Rolling
seems
Stones.
as though the list was compiled by casual hip hop fans.
Right. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have people that's just truly in there. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Someone said Nas's It Was Written. I couldn't put Nas's It Was Written up there. Not in top 5. It's a dope album. I love the album. I couldn't put it into top 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't put that there. It's a dope album though. You know what I was thinking about? What I was thinking about today? Is there anything in anyone's mind, is there anything that could have made Illmatic even better? Is there a song from another album? I have one in mind, but is there a song from another album that could have made Illmatic better?
If he had the message on there.
The Message is my favorite joint. Yeah.
If he had the message on Illmatic, it would have been a better album.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Message.
But then again, if you take it off that it was written, would you have the argument that it was written is better than Illmatic? Like, you feel me?
I'm gonna tell you what I think would have made Illmatic. Would have fit Illmatic and would have made Illmatic. I mean, it's already the greatest album to me, but would have made it better. The Street Dreams remix, by R. Kelly.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is the reason why I say that, because first of all, Illmatic needed a a single to make it fly. Right? It needed one of those singles to make it fly commercially. Right? I mean, it didn't need it, but they figured, Nas had such a buzz that the album was gonna blow. Right? It didn't really blow like they thought it was going to commercially. I think back then it was like 500,000. It took until 2001 until it went platinum. If that Street Dreams remix was on that album, to me, the way Nas rhymes is the way that Nas rhymes on that song is all Illmatic to me, right? The content is all Illmatic to me. You know what I mean? And I think it fits the mold of Illmatic. It just gives you the little bit of radio version that I think could have really pushed it. I think that song right there. Then of course you couldn't have had Street Dreams on It Was Written, right? Because you would have had it on. You would have had it on Illmatic. But I think that song right there would have taken Illmatic to another level commercially. You know what I'm saying? And I see Anthony D. You're right. I agree with you. You said Illmatic needed nothing. I agree with you 100%. It's perfect the way that it is. But if there's anything that you could have added to it that wouldn't have downgraded it, maybe I should say that. If there's anything that you could have added to Illmatic, but it didn't downgrade it and kept it where it is, but took it somewhere else, maybe commercially, the Street Dreams remix could have did that. I think it would have fit that album perfectly and gave it just a little bit of that pop appeal that it needed to, go 2-3 million platinum right off the bat.
Right.
Tim, I think as much as I love the album, and I love the fact that it had no famous guest appearances, I think a famous guest appearance might have gave him that look that was missing.
Yep. Because when you think about the image that was created for Nas when that album came out, it was like he was the ghetto prophet, right? You know what I'm saying? That song is straight up ghetto prophecy, Street Dreams remix.
Yeah.
Straight up ghetto prophecy, man. I mean, that joint would have been nice. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna take my Spotify playlist and I'm gonna add that in there somewhere and listen to it all together like it's, you know what I mean, like it's part of the album. Cause I think that would have did something. That would have been dope. But hey, we got Illmatic the way it is. I love it the way that it is. You know what I'm saying? I love it the way that it is.
I actually do. Sorry, go on.
No, what do you think made Illmatic such a great album? Like, if you had to name like the reasons why you put that number one, what would be your reasons why you put that number one?
Well, if you asking like the number one Nas fan in the universe of Freezy, I would say that the nuances of samples, like the horns on Halftime, how they accentuated Nas's tone, not just his voice, but the tone and the mood that he was in as he rapped to that beat. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you have like the nuances of the sample, the Human Nature sample for It Ain't Hard to Tell. You know what I'm saying? How Nas can just rap on that and it sounds kind of old school with that new school edge. You know what I'm saying? And then one of the famous lines he said, and I know I say it on every show some have, but man says, sneak a Uzi on the island in my army jacket lining. Just to think how poetic that is, how he takes his criminality and makes it poetic. You know what I'm saying? That ghetto prophet style. You know, so it's like the nuances of all the beats, like all the producers that came in, like all the guest production, while they didn't do guest features like maybe rap or whatever, but the guest production on it also caught all the mood of New York at the time, where it was like, yo, if this Nas album flopped, New York might be doomed because the West Coast was blowing up. And it's like, take these things, like, they was like, yo, we're going to go all the way back to our roots. and put the best MC in New York on the best, with the best production and put out this product. So it was like all those things melded together, and then it wasn't forced. It was natural and organic. Like all these dudes liked each other and spent time with each other and understood each other. So that product was not just a Nas album, but it was a product of all the dope production in New York at the time, putting out joints with Nas. So
yeah,
because when you think about it, all those producers had joints out at the same right before Nas. Because Main Source had this joint called "Faking the Funk" that just came out right before then. A Tribe Called Quest dropped the album right before then. Pete Rock had a song, "They Reminisce Over You," that was blowing up the radio. You know what I'm saying? Right before then. So all of them was hot as fish grease at the time they collabed with Nas.
Primo and Gangstar.
Yeah. For me, Tony. First of all, just the flow on every single record. Yeah. Like I could just close my eyes and listen to him flow, and every song and every flow was a perfect marriage with the beat. You know what I'm saying? Every beat was dope. And, the content, like everything that he was saying, I felt like I was speaking to like an older brother. You know what I mean? Just having a conversation with an older brother or something like that. You know what I mean? And I didn't have to get used to hearing nothing. As soon as I popped it in the tape deck, I was just like, oh my goodness, what happened right now? As soon as I popped it in the tape deck, I mean, it just right off Jump Street. That was it. You know what I mean? I didn't have to get used to this or get used to that. As soon as I popped it in, it banged.
Yeah.
And it was so easy to understand. Like I can't recall how old I was exactly when I heard the album, but I know there's albums that came out after that and before that it took me years and years to understand certain slang, certain lingo that I just wasn't familiar with.
Right.
But like you said, his rhyming was like, you could close your eyes and you could just see it. You know what I mean? It was like he was painting a picture with words.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it was crazy. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's the top 5 for the Rolling Stone. Again, Lauryn Hill, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, Public Enemies, It Takes a Nation, a Million to Hold Us Back, Kanye West, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. Then you got Kendrick Lamar's How to Pimp a Butterfly, and then you got Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is Rolling Stone's top 5. And I just want to know from you guys, put it in the comments, whatever you do, put it in the comments. What do you think, man? And what is your top 5? And what is your top 5?
You know I'm the Kendrick Avenger on this show. There's one thing I have to ask you to stop. Okay. Stop saying how to. It's not how to pimp.
Okay, to pimp a butterfly. I don't know why I keep saying how to pimp a butterfly.
It's to pimp. It's like To Kill a Mockingbird.
I know. You know what? I've said that ever since the album came out. I don't know why.
I feel you. And it's like the first 4 times I let it slide.
But yo, you should have stopped me there. Yo, bro. You know how sometimes there's certain things that you say and you hear the right way, and for whatever reason you keep saying it that way. I don't know why, but for some reason that's the way I started saying it, and it just stuck with me like that. My bad.
I feel you.
My bad.
It happens.
My bad, Kendrick.
I got a question for all you guys.
I just wince,
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, ugh.
Go ahead, Tony.
Savvy, you can answer first, but I want to hear everybody. You think Kendrick's better than Cole?
I don't.
Oh my God, by miles.
I don't.
By miles.
See,
I feel like Cole doesn't even really compare as an artist at all.
No.
The only thing Cole has on Kendrick to me is that he makes is that he can produce. but I feel like Kendrick, like, okay, a common criticism about J. Cole is that he's fake deep. Like I see that criticism a lot. Can't say that about Kendrick.
Okay, why is that? Why is that
I
though?
don't think you can say it about Cole, but like,
I don't think you can say it about Cole either, but it's a common critique against him that he's fake deep.
But why? That's what I'm asking. Why is that a critique against Cole?
Because people feel like people. All right, Tone, go on.
I think Cole steps out more on a ledge than Kendrick does. When we're talking about being deep,
How so?
I think Kendrick is more out in the public. He's more seen. He puts himself out there. Kendrick is like, Kendrick comes out when it's album time, and then he in the shadows.
That's not true though. We haven't seen Kendrick in years. Kendrick is like that hermit rapper. I think it's the other way around. Cole is a lot more in the public.
That's what. If that's not what I said, that's what I meant to say.
That's what you meant to say.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Cole is out in the public, which gives him more criticism. Kendrick is in the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't put himself out there, so it's really nothing for you to criticize him on, except music. Like, that's the only thing you can critique him on.
But people don't critique. People critique everything about every star ever, right? But in hip hop circles, Cole is not critiqued for being out and seen a lot. He's critiqued for his music. And when you look at the beginning of his career compared to the beginning of Kendrick's career, even Cole will tell you that he was kind of chasing hits. Mm-hmm. And he had a certain materialism about him when it was way back on the Kendrick Lamar EP when he was rapping about Vanity Slaves.
Okay,
you see the difference there. And I don't, huh?
That's growth. That's
no,
growth
absolutely.
As a person.
And it's great,
right?
But let's call it a spade. Like, when it comes to this thing called hip hop, this thing called rap, Kendrick is like a trendsetter. Kendrick is so bitten off of. It's crazy. Like, Kendrick is the guy who came with the classic, lauded, heralded debut major label album, and then followed it up with an album that was a major commercial risk with a butterfly. You see what I'm saying? And he did that because he's like, the culture wants this from me, but I feel like they need this, so I'm gonna give him this, and whatever happens, happens. And it happened to work out for him. It just happened to work out for him, right? That could have easily gone very wrong.
It could have been like J. Cole's, what was his second album?
No, his second album was better than his first album.
No, the third album, the one that nobody liked.
Which album is that?
Except me.
I thought that was. I thought his first album. What was that album?
Name Cole's album.
He has Sideline Story, right? And then he has Born Sinner. And then he has 2014 Forest Hills Drive. And then he has For Your Eyes Only. And then he's got
it's that one, the fourth one, For Your Eyes Only.
Right.
I think that was a risk that didn't pan out the same way Kendrick's album was a risk what happened to pan out.
And I agree with you. That album is fire. But I'll say this. The length of that album didn't really let you give it a chance as much as you could have if he made it longer. And he even says himself that he was a bit uninspired and struggling to find creative fuel during that time. What I think is really the reason why people count against him, J. Cole, I mean, is because they perceive him as being misogynistic at times. But then he's got the good message that when he gets on message, it's good stuff. But I feel like artists need to be allowed to have fun.
And I also feel, how many artists that you would consider woke, right?
I hate that
You
word.
know,
now.
if that's the word that people want to use.
It's the buzzword, right?
Yeah, that's the buzzword today, right? That people, you know, that's the word people want to use. But how many artists? There's always going to be different sides to an artist. I don't care who you are, right? I don't care who you are. There's going to be parts of your life that people are going to say, well, damn, I didn't know that was you. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So if an artist is supposed to be woke, but then they make a song about, you know, what they did with this lady, now they not woke no more. They're disrespecting women or whatever it is, when that's just a part of, you know, and I'm not even saying disrespectfully, you know, they make a song about a lady disrespecting the lady, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe they just had, you know, they had an ep in the Jeep, you know what I'm saying? Like Uncle L, whatever. And they rapped about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then all of a sudden, you know, now, you know, oh, why are they doing that? I mean, that's how it was. That's how it was with Nas. You heard Jay-Z, you know what I'm saying? Is it Uchiwali or is it one mic?
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Is it Black Girl Lost or Shorty owes you for ice? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, why can't it? I mean, why? He's different sides of a person. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be different ways.
That's why, and I'll give you the Kendrick version of that. Is it She Needs Me, or is it Tammy's song?
Right.
There you go.
You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? There you go.
Right.
But here's the thing that audiences do not accommodate for artists in general when it comes to music, especially because actors can do whatever they want. They have creative license. People who create visual art have creative license. When it comes to music, we have a certain level of intimacy that we take on with the artist, and people want their contingent to be catered to.
Mm-hmm.
And don't want you to create a balanced body of work that appeals to the masses, and they will not accommodate for you showing all sides of yourself on that album, right? Like even in just the conversations, people could probably go back on this channel and hear me talking. You know, one moment Savvy D wants us to be unified and loving, and then the next moment he's ready to go kill people. You feel me? Like people don't accommodate for the balance. Like, and that's what I feel like J. Cole suffers, because I love Cole.
Right.
When I assess Cole versus Kendrick, I'm looking at straight up bars and straight up proficiency, and I believe that Kendrick, there's a certain X factor he has when he's writing his lyrics, especially. That just says a lot and says a little, and it's not really as accessible as a Cole record. And people, because of that accessibility, Cole has more commercial success. But when it comes time to talk about who's iller, a lot of people will veer toward Kendrick. But I'll tell you this. It's not a popular opinion I'm saying here. Most people feel like Cole is better, but I just don't feel the same way. Even though I do love all of his songs that he made for women. I love, you know, the I Heard You Got a Main Chick, a Mistress and some, you know what I'm saying, with Trey Songz. Can't get enough on his first album. You know, like I feel like if he would have came out the gate differently, the whole convo would be different about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like trying to position himself in a certain way as opposed to just giving people music hurts him too. Where Kendrick Lamar is much more, he's much more managed and surrounded by forces that will tailor him to what the delivery needs to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The thing I say about J. Cole is I think J. Cole's a little bit up in the air as far as just who he is as an artist still, I think, and a person still. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, and, you know, that's okay. You know, he's growing. That's okay. So I think, because you will hear him come out and say something and then kind of backtrack sometimes, right? And it's like, yo, why you backtracking?
Absolutely.
Just say what you got to say and stand with it. Be a man with it. You know what I mean? So I think
And
he's
there's
still
this.
learning who
Right.
he is, and I think Kendrick kind of understands who he is already.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And
Because
that's gonna come out through your music too.
because you can go back and listen to the Hub City Threat and the C4 mixtape, and you're hearing a different Kendrick, and he's still ripping, but it's a different guy.
Yeah.
But people said this, and I never forgot it because I was like, wow, like that's a good observation. They say that Cole was married and old, and still making music for college kids, and rapping about getting hoes. And I was like, fair enough. The raps are good though.
Right.
You feel me? The raps is good.
But you know why it becomes that with hip hop artists, because everything that rappers do, they base it on real life, right? They always, I live this.
Right.
This is who I am and what I do. I live this, right? So when that happens, people are like, okay, so when I see some inconsistencies with your rap music and your real life, I'm going to call you out on it because you said you lived this. Right. You know what I mean? And that's where it always becomes, that's where the difference comes in with rappers. And instead of, and it's not always like that with other genres of music. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But with rappers, it's like that because that's part of, the music is based on being real and representing where you're from and representing who you are and representing your neighborhood and all of that. It's based on that. You know what I'm saying? So people don't like to see those inconsistencies. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But, hey, let's go on. Let's move on because, talking about inconsistencies, the most, I don't want to say inconsistent artist that's out there, but the most
Abby gonna be mad.
artists that
No, I'm not. I feel the same way.
the most the artists that you don't know what to expect. Kanye West, right? You don't know what you're gonna get from Kanye. Kanye's gonna do what he does. You know what I'm saying? And listen, that's the one thing that I always say with Kanye West and his music. If there's an artist that's not afraid to take a chance, it's gonna be Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect that about him. You may not like everything. You may hear something and be like, what the hell is this? But he's an artist and he's gonna take a chance with his music. And he's gonna, he's gonna put it out there. Whether or not you like it, he's gonna put it out there. And most of the time it ends up being successful for him. So, who can argue with it? Right? But what the hell is he doing right now? That's my question.
I still feel like he died after he made Life of Pablo, and then an android took over like
Yo.
as a new Kanye West.
Yo,
Right? Because I'm like, this ain't the guy that said George Bush don't care about black people. Like this is not him. Like it's not Kanye. And
I don't know what the hell Kanye is doing right now, bro.
This is the thing, right? Alt-right Kanye came about, and he was talking about being in debt, and he was giving Trump hugs and everything like that. And I'm like, yo, what's going on with this guy? Clearly, he came out and he said what struggle he was going through with his mental health. And I'm like, okay. Now it's at a point where he says things, and I'm like, do I believe you, or is this performance, right?
Right.
Like, are you pretending right now? Is this the real Kanye? Because I have no clue what to expect.
Right.
In the context of trying to get artists their masters back, I'm always going to support that.
Always, of course.
No matter what. I'm not too privy to what he was saying to Hove and Cole and Drake. I can kind of guess.
So look. So this is what Kanye West has been saying, and I'm not gonna go through. I mean, he's been putting out 1 million tweets a day, so I'm definitely not gonna go through everything. But just talking about, he called out Hove, he called out J. Cole, he called out Drake. He says, I'm not putting no more music out till I'm done with my contract with Sony and Universal. First of all, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't
Right.
know what his contract is like, so I guess I can't say anything about it until I know what it's like. But normally, when you have a contract, the contract is for a certain amount of albums, right?
Right.
So he says, I'm not putting no more music out until I'm done with my contract. Well, how can you finish your contract if you're not putting music out? So I don't know what the contract is like. Now, what I can do is go look at his contract, because he posted his contract all over Twitter. Right? He's posted the entire contract on Twitter. I don't know what it is, 10, 20 pages or something like that. I think it's like 20 pages.
I wish I would have known that, man. I would have dissected that whole thing.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
still up there. You can go to his Twitter page, Twitter
I wanna see
feed,
his contract.
and
I
you
wanna
can
see
pull down every page of the contract and read through it. I did not. So I could be speaking out of turn when I say, how are you not going to put out music and expect to complete your contract? Because maybe there's some other things in there that will help him complete his contract. Maybe touring, who knows, right? He said, I need to see everybody's contract at Universal and Sony. I'm not going to watch my people be enslaved. I'm putting my life on the line for my people. The music industry and the NBA are modern day slave ships. I'm the new Moses. You already know how I feel about this whole slave thing with the NBA. Okay?
And me too.
Already know how I feel
too.
about it. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's fair to compare a person getting paid millions of dollars to a slave who did not get paid. You know what I'm saying? If you want to look at it and say, there's some...
He said slavery was a choice. Previously, he said slavery was a choice.
Yes, he did.
And
He
now
did.
he's saying, comparing it to slavery.
Right. I mean, yes, he did.
This dude's
You know what I
an
mean?
idiot.
I'm defending him, but with his thinking and comparing it to the NBA makes more sense of it being a choice.
I can understand what you're saying. If he thought that slavery was a choice, then he can look and say, then NBA is like modern day slave ships. But any one of these NBA players can choose to say, I don't want to make this money anymore. I'm gonna do something else. The money that they already made, they're gonna keep.
Changing my
The
career.
rest of their contract gets ripped up, thrown away, whatever happens. But they can go on with the rest of their life. They're not going to have any slave master coming at them. Same with Kanye, right? Kanye said, I'm not putting out any more music. He has the choice to do that, right? And no slave master is going to come after him. They're not going to have to walk into a store and show their past or nothing like that, okay? If they decide not to play in the NBA or not to make music, they can choose to go find other ways to make money for themselves. I just don't want to. I don't want to dumb down what's really happening in the world today when you start talking about, when you talk about the way that we're really being oppressed today. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take away from that by saying, okay, these guys in the NBA, they're like modern day slaves, music industry artists of modern. You know what? That's crazy to me, because you have real people out here who are really being oppressed by the system.
And if there's anybody that's modern day slaves, it's the people in the prison system.
Exactly.
Right.
That's who are the modern day slaves.
Families.
That's
And
who.
their families.
And the people being sex trafficked.
People being sex trafficked. People in the prison system. That whole prison dichotomy. Right. Once they lock you up, and now you're in prison to make and they put you to work to make money for them, right? And you're not getting that money, but this is what you have to do. Now that is modern day slavery, right? My daughter says she's seen some guy, she had a sweatshirt on that said Maryland, right? He just got out of prison. He was like, I made that shirt, right? He said, I made that shirt because that's what they did in prison. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. These privately owned prisons put the prisoners to work for major corporations so that those corporations can make money, so those prisons can make money. Obviously, the family or the prisoners don't make money, but this is what they have to do. That's modern day slavery. The NBA is not modern day slavery. You know what I mean? So it just bothers me when people say that. I understand what they mean and how it looks. You got the white owner, and then you got black basketball players playing basketball. I get it, right? They're dancing for white people, right? That's basically what they're saying. But you know what? Those men are choosing to play basketball. Those men are getting millions of dollars for playing basketball. Those men, not all of them, a lot of them, right? 90% of them are going to have generational wealth. You know what I'm saying? Generational wealth. They're going to take care of their kids and their grandkids and their grandkids and all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So it bothers me when I hear people say that. But
this
anyway,
is my thing.
You know,
it bothered me a lot.
Oh, go ahead, Sam.
It bothered me a lot, right? It bothered me a lot. It bothered me a lot more that I feel like the point he was trying to make, he didn't really care enough to use tact to make it, right?
Right.
Because I mean, some people would say, because I've had this conversation with people where they're like, they feel like modern day slavery is what business looks like now, where you get cheated out of public compensation, and then people build their generational wealth off of your labor, even though you're being compensated in some way. And then there is still a primitive version of slavery that is still in practice, and they coexist. Okay, cool, whatever, right? If you feel that way, you feel that way. But when you say slavery, what was a choice? I feel like that statement lacks all nuance that you could have used to make your point. If you're trying to point out the continual lack of rebellion over time, I would say put yourself in that position and then tell me that you would have the courage to do that very same thing. Because it's a very tough thing. Everybody thinks they're Nat Turner until it's time to actually face the hounds and the whips and the fucking rifles and a lynching and a noose, right?
No
everyone thinks they're Nat Turner until it's time, right?
No bull. Talk to me.
And I feel like if you're going to come out and you're going to draw lines between things like that, you need to have the nuance and the verbal skills that I know he has, right? To properly put that into its framework, right? And when you don't do it, it makes it look like you're looking for attention and trying to be controversial for some ulterior motive, which is why I'm like, do I believe you, right?
Right.
You feel me?
No.
Right. Now, I feel
W.E.B. Du Bois said that you should have 10% of the people speaking for 90% of the population, just because of this buffoonery like Kanye West put out on a daily basis that goes unfiltered. The fact that he came from a person that was broke, doing the everyday struggle, just like a lot of us, to a spoiled brat, rich cat that don't know what to do with his time and money is a shame. There's a lot of people out here that you know, for half of what he makes on the album would be set for life and the next generation too. And this dude is out here complaining about his dealings with a record company, the institution and such, and then comparing it to slavery, where people were enslaved, stripped of their freedom, their religion, their God, their liberties, and work for somebody is ridiculous. This whole thing, to me, I'm not a Kanye West fan. I'm sorry if there's a bunch of people out there that are fans of Kanye. Hey man, y'all have issues. The one thing that Sammy D said that made sense, that made a whole lot of sense, was the fact that you do a record about one thing, and then you do another record about another thing. What people forget is between record, people have experiences, You know what I'm saying? Every day is not going to be your woke day. Some days you're going to have Shorty come over to the house. Some days it's just going to be that. Some days you're going to have that weird interaction with the police. You're not going to have that every day. You know what I'm saying? I call it pocking. Like Tupac used to do that. Tupac, like if you listen to a Tupac album, you would hear the wide range of emotions from Brenda's Got a Baby all the way through I Get Around. Not on the same album, of course, but on the same album. But you would have that wide ranging perspective from somebody who's living his life and then bringing his life to art. You know what I'm saying? If you have an expectation that somebody's going to be super stable throughout, like all it's going to be is wake up 8 a.m., go to sleep 9 p.m. every day, then you have an unrealistic expectation. But the thing with Kanye is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's to a point now where a rap artist is not even putting out music and he's dominating the conversation about these weird interactions and comparing. To me, the dude's a clown, and I don't know if he actually brings anything to the hip hop culture.
I mean, like the things that he's saying about the record deals, though, I agree with him. I agree with things that he's saying about the record deal, and I'm gonna get to that. You know, it's just the way that he's going about things, man. Is just it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
Right.
So this is what he said. I'm gonna come to you, Tony. He said he called out Jay-Z, J. Cole, and Drake. Right? He said he wants to have a meeting with Jay-Z. He said, I need an apology from J. Cole and Drake to start with immediately. He said, I'm Nat Turner. I'm fighting for us. So there you go with the Nat Turner. Right? He then went on to add, I have the utmost respect for all those brothers, but we need to link and respect each other. No more dissing each other on labels we don't own. Right? And then he concluded his tweets. Not concluded his tweets because he's got a million tweets, but he said, let's stop killing each other. Let's show God that we are God's people. My ego gets the best of me too. God doesn't measure us by money in his kingdom. Let's love each other. I love my brothers and I miss my friends. Real talk. All right. And then he put out another tweet and he deleted it. He said, I'm the second richest black man in America. I need all my people with me for us to get free. And then he deleted it. Now, but there's more. But there's more, right? There's more. And, I'm going to show this. This might not be for everybody's eyes. I don't know. But he then, he tweets out his contract and all of this stuff, right? And to prove his point, he pisses on his Grammy. Okay? That's right?
I like moves like that though. I like moves like that because F that statue. F that statue.
It's like, I mean,
look at how long the Grammy
I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it and I understand.
It's a statue.
You know what I mean? I get it and I understand.
He's got 9 of them.
I fully understand. But I don't know.
Why not just throw it in the trash if it didn't mean that to him?
But also
because the gesture of pissing on it is more of a gesture.
But also, he's supposed to be running for president. Right? All of this stuff, not one mention, and here he is, defecating on his Grammy.
Before we go to the to the political interactions that he's had, let's examine the gesture of pissing on the Grammy. Fuck the Grammy. Fuck the Grammys.
I mean, I feel you.
Fuck the committee. Look at how they've done us all along.
Okay.
Who cares?
I get it.
And he's saying this. He's saying this to you. You're stealing my legacy. You're stealing my children's rights to my work.
Right. No. So let me ask you this though. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Statue.
But let me ask you this though, Savvy.
What do you mean? No, he doesn't own his masters.
But hold on. But let me ask you this though, Savvy. Right? He accepted the Grammy, and after he pisses on the Grammy, he pick it up, clean it off, and put it back on the damn shelf.
Did he do that?
I don't know if he did that or not. But why not? If you have this issue with the Grammys. How about you say, I'm not accepting the award?
I don't think he had an issue with the Grammys before he ever got his first one. I think he now feels the need to discard all symbolic gestures that don't compensate him properly. Like, why do I care about the Grammy if I don't have my masters? Like it's an empty, hollow me.
But those are two separate entities, though. Those are two separate entities that he'll have beef with. The Grammys and his record label are two separate entities.
I don't view it that way. I view him as having an issue with the entire industry framework and how they give you these awards, but cheat you out of everything that you deserve. Look at what happened to look at Pause the News and them, De La Soul. Do you think they care about their albums being celebrated?
No,
when they're being robbed of the.
No, I get that. I get that.
Like,
I'm just saying with, to me, like that gesture that he made, first of all, it doesn't really prove a point to me. You know what I'm saying? I understand what he's saying. It doesn't prove a point to me. I just look at it as being lewd because, like I said, he probably took it out, cleaned it off, and put it on his shelf. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
To me, he probably didn't even do it. He probably had his help do it.
Yeah,
you know.
By the way, this is a maniac that we're talking about. Right?
Right.
So I think you guys are being way too rational, right? And not looking at it from for what it is. Like
point of frustration.
There's ways to communicate without saying anything.
Yeah.
To piss on the Grammy is to be like, yo, fuck all these awards and gestures. Like, what's really important is the master recordings. What's really important is the thing I'm talking about right now. Like, and that I stand behind that 100%.
Me too.
Everything else, F that shit.
Yeah, I feel you. So go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
Old Kanye, I think we could agree that we all love, and I still love Kanye, like not the way I used to,
right?
But like now, like I have love for him. I pray for him. I hope that
I want him to get better.
I want him to get better. I want him to get help. He's never been the same after his mom passed. Right. I won't even put anything on the Kardashians. I'll put it on his mom not being there. And then when he says he misses his friends, I feel him. Like I think that's a 100% true comment. And I think he had people in his circle before that he looked up to. Right. So when they said something, it meant something. And then he reached the plateau to where now the people, maybe not the same people he looked up to, but now he got people looking up to him, and he got that power. He tasted that power, and I wish him the best, man. I pray for him. I feel like because a lot of things he says, more than like the majority of what he says, I feel him on. When he started doing the political stuff and the pandering for Trump and all that, like that's when I had to step back and really pay attention to him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I think he reminds me of like Dame Dash with like bipolar Dame Dash. Like a lot of the things he says is like spot on, but the delivery is off,
Right.
Exactly.
And then he gets these little pockets where he just goes way to the left, and it's like, yo, like he don't have nobody in his circle that could tell him to chill and just advise him. So I gotta pray for him, man.
And you know what, Tone? To your point, I always love it when people dispense with the polite interaction method of getting points across, because fuck that shit. Fuck it. The point is the point, right? Why am I gonna be polite to someone who's robbing me?
Nah, and listen. Everything that he's saying about record deals, I agree with him, and I think he is totally right. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that he's exposing stuff. You know what I'm saying? You can go on his Twitter page and you can look and see, he posted every single, all of his contracts. Okay, so that you can read it and understand and, kind of know what it is and, what he gets from it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and he's talking about, now, of course, you got to take it with a grain of salt, but he's talking about, getting people together to redesign, right, what these contracts would look like. Okay, and develop some guidelines as to what these contracts would look like. So this is what he said. All right. He said new recording and publishing deal guidelines. So number one, the artist owns the copyright in the recordings and songs and leases them to the record label / publisher for a limited term, 1-year deals. You know what? I can get with that, right? You make a record, and instead of one label owning that record and the publishing company owning that record, you own it. Mm-hmm. And you say, okay, you know what? I'll lease it to you for this amount of time. Exactly. And you better capitalize off this, off of me leasing it to you. So however and wherever you can put my music, you better do it because you got it for 1 year. Kind of like LeBron James did in the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Short deals. Show me that you want me to sign again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Number two, the record label / publisher is a service provider that receives a share of the income for a limited term. The split could be 80-20 in the favor of the artist. I'm with that too.
Yes.
Okay. So you lease it to, the record label, right? And then the record label or publisher, like you said, they just receive a share of the income for however, whatever your contract term is. Number three, dependents. Artists must be dependent on no one but themselves to manage their catalog. You should need no one else to understand the business you're in. Here's the problem I find with that, right? Every artist is not going to be a businessman. You should know the business, right? You should learn and know the business, but you're going to have people who just understand it better than you, right? So that should be left up to the artist to decide whether or not they want to have a manager, right?
Right.
The artist can decide, say, hey, I don't need a manager. I can handle the business on my own. So that's what I'm going to do. Or the artist says, I don't know this stuff. I need a manager. You know what I'm saying? To help me manage some of these business deals.
And that reminds me of the interview he did recently. He said, I don't feel like artists should have managers. They should have CEOs. Like turn yourself into the corporation and hire a CEO to manage Kanye West Incorporated, to manage
but what he's saying though is
to handle business on behalf of you and someone with a business acumen to do that thing, but they don't have the power over you. You are their boss, not the other way around.
Right. But he's saying that as a 20-year vet. So he's saying that as a 20-year vet, so someone who's been through the experiences, and with that model that he mentioned creates more sharks. Because if me and Savvy D do a record, we're a group, right? But we don't know the business. We have to go outside, away from the record company, to get people to understand the business so that we won't be taken advantage of. And then they may hire people. And now you create this thing where one time it was the record company being the shark. Now it's the people that you hired that may be the sharks. You know what I'm saying?
No.
He's saying that as a 20-year music vet.
I disagree with that, because if we create the employment contract, how are we going to get cheated? We made the contract.
Because every artist doesn't know the record business.
But every artist can go and find somebody who does, and have them. And of course, human nature, people are going to try to do underhanded stuff and try to rob.
Right, creating the short. Yeah, right.
But I would rather go to court with my employee than go to court with a major label
conglomerate, right?
UMG. That can just sit there and postpone
Until you run out of money.
Until I run out of money. Exactly.
Right.
And that's why it's not about money. It's about power and legacy and ownership. Right.
And look, I like the idea of an artist. I own an LLC business. Well, actually, I stopped it from being an LLC and just went with a sole proprietorship for my own reasons. Right, because there was in my state, there's a certain amount of money that I got to pay per year, and I'm like, I don't need to do that, but it was my own business thing going on. But the name of my business is just my name. That's it. Right? Because like Jay-Z said, you are a business, right? If you think of yourself as a business, you offer services to people, even when you have a job. That person is hiring you for your services. And so if you think of yourself as a business, you look at it in a total different light in the way that you go about dealing with people, right? Because you look at yourself as a business. They're hiring you for services, just like if I hire a lawyer or if I hire, a dentist, you know what I'm saying? I'm hiring that person for my services. Right? That dentist owns their own practice. If you whatever it is that you do, you look at it like, I have this practice of, I dump trash. Well, I run my business. I am the business of being a garbage disposal person. Right. You know what I'm saying? And this is how I run my own business. You can do that in whatever you're doing. So I like the idea of an artist taking and setting up themselves as a business, right? And then hiring a CEO to run that business. I mean, which basically would be like a manager, but I think that is a great idea. And not only should artists do that, but every person should do that. Look at themselves as a business, but you be the CEO of your business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then you start to look at things. You just look at everything differently. You know what I mean? He said lawyers, number 4. He said the thing that changes about record deals is actually lawyers. He said we need plain English contracts. A lawyer's role is to improve deals, not charge for contracts we cannot understand or track. Rewrite deals to be understandable from first read. Yes, if you read any contract, they have all this legal jargon in there, and it's hard to read and hard to understand. And the only purpose behind all of this legal jargon, there's not even any purpose. It's just tradition. There's no purpose behind all this legal jargon that they use. You know what I'm saying? You can use all these crazy legal terms to say, you agree to take my trash every Monday. But you put it in all these legal terms, and it means the same thing. You can have it in legal terms, or you can have it in, you agree to take my trash every Monday, and it's going to mean the same thing. You know what I mean? It's going to mean the same thing. So I don't understand all the legal jargon that's in any of these contracts. Number 5, he said equity and blanket licenses are the majority of future new income. If you're with a major, you have invested your songs as shares in their power to get equity in deals. Almost all new deals are now based on all songs going to a store or app. The equity is the artist. Yeah. Right? The equity is with the artist. I mean, everything that he's saying, I agree with. You know what I'm saying? Everything, because when you have these major labels that before they had to find a way to get distributed to the record stores and this and that and the other thing. Now you're just going to a streaming service, and you can do it on your own. So why do you need a major label to invest in that portion? You don't.
A major label that makes decisions and doesn't have any clue about the culture it's working in. You feel me? And doesn't care about it anyway. Like there's certain things you can't speak out against, or else you risk trouble with your label, right? Like we see in the NFL, they're forced to do certain things that they don't want to do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's about power. It's not about money. It's about power. People fail to empathize with this battle because they feel like, oh, it's rich people complaining. No. There's richer people doing nothing but sitting in a seat, taking advantage of us, right? That get to feed themselves, their friends, their children, their grandchildren, and so on and so forth, based on our sweat equity, because they own everything.
Right.
And I'm like, listen, just because we have less money than them doesn't mean we need to turn our brains off, okay, and not understand what they're talking about. Because if we ever do succeed and find that things are not totally right, and we say something, people who are not as far along as we are in their journey are gonna be like, oh, this rich guy's just complaining. Nah.
Right.
This is about all of us. This is about everything. It happens to us in every arena.
But the delivery is bad, though, Savvy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the delivery is.
Yes, it does matter. It does matter.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why the
delivery does matter.
Wait. Before
the delivery matters because
wait a minute.
Freezy. Literally pushed on a Grammy and made you think that the Grammy doesn't mean anything to him. But what you fail to realize is the Grammy represents a system of eliteness. Most of the time, most of us will never get a Grammy to have the opportunity to pick someone.
Eliteness is according to
Grammys are not giving out to everybody.
You broke
Grammys
up.
aren't giving out to everybody.
You're breaking up. Yeah, you're breaking up real bad, Freezy.
Even see it. This dude is on one to make it look like.
I can't hear him.
Hey, Freezy, it broke up real bad. It was.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it broke up real bad.
Let me tell you why the delivery does not matter. Because if you bring perfectly good delivery, you bring your attorneys, you write it all out politely, you turn it in, and they say no, F off. We control it. How many times can you be told to F off, we control it, before you say, yo, F it? Like, I'm going to go rant on social media and tell everybody what you guys are doing, and hopefully you guys do not repeat the same mistakes. Like, why are we policing his delivery more than we're policing their exploitation of us?
No, I get it. But here's my question. He's saying that he wants to do some things, right? And this is where I think the delivery comes in. Because let's say I'm Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. And because he called, and he called Jay-Z, Drake, J. Cole out to help push these guidelines through, to help make some changes. But I see his delivery. I see him pissing on Grammys. I see him doing this. I see him doing that. How much do you think Jay-Z, J. Cole, Drake will say, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to get down with Ye. Why would they? Well, maybe, they might say, you know what? We're going to do this thing over here. Why wouldn't they? Because he's unpredictable and they don't know what type of things he might do. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think the delivery does mean something, because the things that he's laid out here are very intelligent. Like this whole thing with the equity and blanket licenses, right? Because right now a label gets a blanket license to use your music, put it in Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, da-da-da. They got a blanket license to just go ahead and license your music out to all these places, right? And you may not even know that your music is in this movie or that commercial or this or that, because it's licensed out there. You know what I'm saying? So what'd you say?
I said until you get your small portion check. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Until you get a check, you're like, oh, I didn't know that my song was in that Disney movie or whatever it was. You know what I'm saying? So now you have your major, you have your label, out there, and your, publishing company out there, getting your music out into all of these places, into all of these things, you know what I'm saying? And, you get a small portion of that deal. The artist taking control of that. You know what I'm saying? That's just more power to the artist. Like he said, no more blanket licenses. It should be clear from day one what shares you get now and when you leave. Your song helps a deal over the line. You invested in that store or app the same as they did, right? So the same as, if your record label invested in one of these streaming companies to do this and that and this and that, your song helped just as much as that label. Makes sense. He says UMG now has a 2.2 billion shareholding stake in Spotify. UMG, a 2.2 billion shareholding stake in Spotify. This is the artist. The system as to how we get share balances on our royalty statement needs to be created, and a system on when artists can cash in. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there's always been all kinds of problems about how much artists pay, how much Spotify pays the artists, and such and such and such. Right.
Okay, Simeon.
And then
let me ask you a question, right? All right. Tone. Go on first.
Real quick. Do you notice? Because I agree that the delivery is important, but if you go back through history, and maybe I'm mistaken, maybe I'm not aware, but all the people who have spoken out and fit the same line of talk, like a Dame Dash, everybody said, "Oh,
Prince.
He's saying the right stuff, but his delivery is bad." Joe Budden, he's another one who's been on this stuff with creators and his beef with Spotify, and everybody's like, "Yo, he's saying the right stuff, but it's his delivery." But you don't even hear about the people who have the right delivery. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
you only really hear when they're ranting, when they're flipping out, when they. And I'm not saying they're handling it the right way, but I don't know of anybody who is doing it the right way.
Look at what happened. Sorry, go on.
Right.
But
look at what happened to Michael Jackson and Prince. Prince wrote "Slave" on his freaking face. He wrote "Slave" on his freaking face, man. Like, I've never subscribed to the thought that bad delivery is an excuse to not do good business.
I'm not talking about the record labels doing business, right? I'm not talking about the record labels should say, "Well, no, we're not gonna listen to any of these guidelines because of what Kanye West is doing." That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. No, because he's asking for other artists to unify with him. That's what he ends up with, right? So, you can read through this. He talks about royalties, right? He talks about advances. He says, advances are just loans, right? And artists re-signing, he said, on artists re-signing these, please stop. Advances are loans with 75% interest rates or worse. No other business in the world takes a look at the business, buys shares, starts to profit when it profits, blah, 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 blah. He talks about royalties. He said, you need a business manager to read how you did, ? He says, so you pay to see your own money, right? Talking about, these royalties. He said, royalty porters need to show and do not now. Every song you delivered, every store you are in, how many streams per song, income per song. That's not exactly, if you are doing your music independent and you join and you use CD Baby or you use DistroKid, you actually can go in and look at all your royalties and where your songs are and how much money you got from each song. You can go in and you can see all of that. So it depends on, if you're with a major, it's probably different, right? So he ends up and he says, he talks about portals. They're not just for royalties, they're for your entire business, every audio file, every asset, every deal stored with the money, blah, 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 blah. He goes into that and he says, this is a call for all artists to unify. I get my masters. I got the most powerful lawyer in music and I can afford them, but every artist must be freed and treated fairly. Okay? The way that he laid this out, even though I don't care that it's on social media. The way that he laid this out, it's great.
It's
perfect.
I believe
it's great.
that there is a strong value to making people uncomfortable
Right.
because keeping people comfortable has never gotten progress in anything. That's why they tell us that was the wrong way to protest. That was the wrong way to protest.
But
Well, you ignored all the right ways to protest before.
But protesting in this is something totally different to me.
I don't see it that way.
I see it. I see
it that way.
agree with Savvy.
I see it
a
as
different form.
Hold on. I see it as something totally different because Kanye West, right, and any other artist could decide, like, Nas's last album was totally independent, right? No major label, on his own label, Mass Appeal, right? He got, I don't know, I don't want to get into his head, but he was with Sony, with Def Jam. He decided, I don't need them anymore. I can do this through my own business, right? Every artist can't do that. Every artist can do that. They decide to go with a major label because they think that major label is going to push them to make more money. That's why they decide to go with a major label. Every single artist can decide to be independent, get their music into every single streaming platform, just like any other artist out there, and then handle the promotion and handle the management, handle the touring, handle any licensing deals on their own. Any single artist can decide to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Any artist can decide to do that at whatever level you're on.
Exactly.
But
So that's where I look at the difference. That's where I just look at the difference between the protests that are going on today and what's happening in the world with black people and artists. I see that as a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I just see it as a little bit different, right? Everything
I analogize it. Sorry, go on.
Everything that Kanye West laid out, I think is great. I think, and I'm not defending the Grammys here. That's not what I'm doing when I say that. I think going on social media and pissing on the Grammy, pissing on anything, let's put it like that. I just think it's lewd, and the people that you called out to help you will say, I don't want to deal with you because it's just too unpredictable, and you're going to do stuff like this.
They could still unify and deal with each other without him.
They can.
And not only that, but if that's lewd, all right, it doesn't diminish all the good stuff he just said. If you're rubbing other artists the wrong way, okay, fine, you're rubbing them the wrong way, but they should still see that they have a vested interest in him successfully fighting this battle, because if he wins, we all win, because we can all follow along behind that victory. If he gets the support that he wants. My last piece on this, Tony, before you do that, is that I analogize it this way. I don't hang up on the nuance of industry and societal position. I see it as, I am asking for this because I deserve this. You have it. You are keeping it from me, and you're saying this is the wrong way to go about doing it. I try another way. You're saying this is the wrong way to go about doing it. No. Wrong way to go about doing it. No. At some point, you gotta just burn it down. Honestly.
I mean, to me, there's another option.
I would love to hear
for artists. I just told you, any artist can go independent. So that's what I'm saying. There's another option out there that.
But if you're
everything that he laid out, if you're under contract, you obviously got into that contract. I get it. You got to finish your contract and you can get out of it. But everything that he laid out, every single independent artist is, look at Immortal Technique.
Right.
Look at Tech Nine. You know what I'm saying? These are independent artists that do not deal with major record labels, and they own everything that he just said here. They already do it.
I wish Tech Nine would talk more vocally, like Kanye does.
But
because maybe people can see the blueprint.
Right, but what would he say? Would he, instead of him saying, what? I don't know what he would say. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm just thinking, in my opinion, he would probably be like, don't go to a major label because this is what they're going to do. Go independent because this is what you can do when you're independent. The thing is, you've got to be able to, like,
stay the course.
As an independent artist, you got to understand the business a little bit. So doubling back and looking to what Kanye West is saying, many of these artists do not understand the business. And so you got vultures that come in and take advantage of these artists, right? And so the artist goes and gets a manager, and then the manager still takes advantage of the artist. The artist doesn't understand, all these legal jargon in the record labels, in the contracts, and so they get lost and they just sign it, not knowing what they're actually signing, and those type of things, right?
Would it be wrong? Sorry, go on.
What if, though, you know what I'm saying? Because listen, the best way to make the record labels change, because I'm gonna tell you right now, Kanye West said and did all of this, and 2 months from now, it'll probably be no more news. The best way is for all of these artists, because right now, major labels, it's not like they're signing artists and then developing them into a major artist. These artists, like Griselda, establishing themselves, and then the major labels are coming and saying, hey, look what we can do. Come sign with the devil. You know what I'm saying? So what these artists got to stop doing is signing with the major labels. And when they say, why are you not signing with us? Why? Because here you go. I don't have control over my music.
And I'm going to add one last thing to it, right? Because I agree with that, right? Some people might not have the courage to do that, right? So maybe sign to a label like Dreamville, a label run by an artist who understands the struggle, right? Which is why I feel like J. Cole has a very strong contribution to make to the game, because he can do these types of things. But am I wrong to draw a line between how we're treated in K through 12 and how we're treated in the university, and the lack of literacy in these matters, and the age that some of these artists are when they get on? Because there's artists who start off when they're 15, blow up when they're 17. Me and my friends got into it when we were like 14, 15 years old, had been writing since like kindergarten, basically, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't literate in these matters until I had an internship at a label when I was 23, 24 years old, almost a full decade later. By the time that decade passes, your best materials could already be in rotation. And people are saying, oh, that album you dropped yesterday was nice, but it's not that first album you did. That's a bump that all the time. Like they do the Day Also. Mm-hmm. I own this album's masters, but you guys love this album, so now I got to just deal with it. Right? There needs to be a pathway to tearing people away from this exploitation.
Okay.
So even if you feel like pissing on a Grammy is not the way to go, you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
No, I get that. I feel you on that.
You feel me?
But I do think there is a pathway, though. I think that there is a path. Now, there's not a pathway right now to, if you've already signed a deal where you signed away the rights to your music, you signed away your masters, it's not really a pathway to go back and get that music.
Especially if it's a 360 deal.
Okay, so
where everything you do is owned by them.
Right. So that's a thing right there. There's not a pathway to do that. The pathway to do that is to buy out the company. Right? And not everybody's gonna have that money to buy out the company. Okay, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
How much money do you pay someone to give up all of their power over all of your money that you made to like you see what I'm saying? Like if you're in the seat of power, you can basically print the money.
Mm-hmm.
How much a dollar costs? Like,
right. I think the question is, okay, if I'm the record label and I signed with you and you did an album that's a classic and I own the masters to it, right? I'm going to say, well, let's do an evaluation. We're going to get a evaluation, not evaluation, but we'll get a valuation done.
Yep.
Right. And see how much this album is actually worth.
Yep.
Right?
What if and they say no, and then what?
No. I mean,
No, they can't say no.
I'm gonna say to you, because you come to me, Sabby, and you say, I want my masters to this album. And I'm gonna say, well, we're gonna go figure out how much this album is worth in the future, and then we'll come up with a price. Right? So we'll have a third party come in, do a valuation for that album, and they say this album is worth, going forward into the future, looking at this artist and their their status in the game, blah blah blah, whatever. This album is worth $250 million. And so I say to you, Sabby, $250 million, you own the masters.
It's Sim.
Right.
Let me tell you something, Sim.
What if that album already made that company $250 million? Now
and the valuation to be higher
because they're evaluating future money, right?
So when you do the valuation, you're doing it from, okay, what do we expect to earn in the future? Right. Not what we already earned. What do we expect to earn in the future? You know what I'm saying?
The record company's not going to give you that money. Right. They already earned it.
Because you already had the deal. The deal was that I'm going to get $1 per album, per CD sold, or whatever it was, back then. Right. Now, deals a little bit different with streaming services, but whatever your deal was, you already got that money. So they're not even going to look at that. They're looking at what's going to happen in the future with that album. And then they're going to most likely ask you for that money. They're going to ask you for that money. So now the artist has to come up with that money to buy out and get their masters. And then the artist also has to look at it and say this, right? They have to say to themselves, if they want their masters from a certain album, they also have to look and say, am I going to be able to, if you're Jay-Z, you can do it. If you're Nas, you can do it, right? If you're Kanye West, you can do it. J. Cole, Drake, all them guys, they can do it. Some other artists that's meddling somewhere in the middle, am I going to have the power to promote my music so that I make money from it, so that I make money from it? Now, the thing is, so you pay $250 million, now you pay $250 million so that you have it. Can you promote this album? Can you get this album out so that you make sure that you make that $250 million? There's a lot of things that you have to think about. It's very hard, though, for an artist to get those masters back. I think the artists that are in it, for some of them, they're going to have to be like, you know what? I'm in this deal now. Maybe I can work out a higher percentage, right? You might, maybe you work out a higher percentage. If you happen to become a billionaire, then you go, look, I'm trying to buy this out, something like that. But I think what you have to do is look and say, okay, I'm going to get out of this deal. There's nothing I can do about those albums, or maybe I can, but maybe not now. I got to get my money up. I got to do whatever I got to do, but I am going to go independent. And the next time, I know I'm not signing my masters over to anybody. You know what I mean? Okay. And then hopefully the younger guys start to understand as they're coming up in the game, and you do need some people out there that's teaching them to make sure that they get the right deal so that they're not giving away their masters right off top.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you something.
I think that's got to be the next. I think that's got to be the next move.
And let's have a quick examination of the ecosystem of businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you go to find your third-party arbitrator. They're like, oh, yeah, okay, third-party arbitration. Okay, cool. This is the company we always use to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the only one that we're going to work with. So you want a valuation? Okay, let's do a valuation. All right.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
And what you don't know is that they're in bed with this arbitration.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you still lose. And who does the arbitrator look like? Does he look more like the
But the arbitrator, but you don't have to.
Wait a minute, Freezy. Wait a minute.
No, man. The
wait a minute.
Arbitrator is agreed to by
please don't cut me off. Hold on. I'm almost done.
You don't have to agree to the one from the record company.
I'm engaging.
That's why they're the third party arbitrator.
I'm engaging Simeon on the premises of what he offered as a method of escaping. So, does the arbitrator look more like a mountain climber who plays an electric guitar? Okay. Or does he look more like me?
No, I feel you.
And whose side is he on?
No, okay? I feel you. And I'm pretty sure that happens. I'm pretty sure that happens.
That's why Joe Budden said, oh, I took less money from Spotify because I wanted the information. It was about the information.
Mm-hmm.
He's been asking for 3 years, what is a stream worth? And he still doesn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that they don't have to disclose to you, right? So they could be like, oh, okay, the arbitrator says that this album this mass recording is worth $8 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And Kanye West masters throughout his discography might very well be worth billions of dollars.
But you can also, and listen, like I'm the record label, and I say this is who I go through. Mm-hmm. Right? This is who I go through. I'm going to have this person. But you as the artist can say, well, you know what? I'm going to hire this guy to come in and do a valuation as well. And we'll see how close they are. And if there's a huge difference between the valuations, we might need to go to court.
Exactly.
And go to a mediator.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know,
because does the mediator look like a mountain climber too?
Who knows who the mediator is going to be? I see what you're saying.
What I'm trying to draw for you?
I see what you're saying. Who knows who the mediator is going to be?
We sound bad out here, brother.
But as an artist, you can, you know what I'm saying? Like when you're going into this, you can say, you can be like, all right, you know what I'm saying? You're saying this person is a mediator. I'm saying this, but like you can bring your own people to the table so that you can all then sit down and negotiate and say, all right, what is going to be the price? What is going to be the valuation? You know, what is the valuation that we agree on? You know what I'm saying? You had your person come in and do a valuation. They did their valuation, not evaluation, did their valuation. Right now, you all can come to the table. You all can be the mediators. You come to the table with all the information, and then you work out you negotiate. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, and that there's not an easy pathway to get out of these deals right now, unless you really have money. Unless you really have money. And so when you have people like De La Soul, who's had some classic albums, but don't have millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, they're stuck.
Yes.
Right? They're stuck because they got these classic albums that is going to continue to sell and make money, right? But they didn't make all this money throughout their career, so it's hard for them. They really can't get out of those deals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's so there's like an evolution of it, right? Where in the hip hop game, I think we have to learn. We have to learn from it. You had artists, you had old artists way back in the day who basically made no money, didn't understand how to brand themselves, didn't understand how to venture off into these other areas, and expand their portfolios. They started getting a little bit more knowledge. Right? As you got into the 90s, people started understanding, oh, I'm a brand. I can make money doing movies, selling clothes, selling alcohol, watches, sneakers, doing whatever, and then it moved into the 2000s where artists really started to understand it. Now, I think people are artists are understanding the power of being independent, and younger artists coming in are going to understand that better and understand these record deals even more. You know what I'm saying? And
it took him 25 years to become an independent artist.
25 years to become an independent artist.
I'm going to keep my money.
Right. And so hopefully, guys like Nas and Mass Appeal, right? Although he doesn't own it all by himself. He's got his business partners, but Nas and Mass Appeal and other people who have these other older rappers who have labels bring artists in under with the understanding that, you know, I'm not trying to rape this dude or this young lady. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make sure that we got a good deal to work with each other. You know what I'm saying? When I work with an artist, and we put a sorry to cut you off, Savvy, and we put something out together, it's always 50-50. They get 50%, I get 50%.
Beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? That's the way it always is.
I tell my guys that I'm on this label, indie label with, and I started telling this to every artist. Actually, I'm like, you are now streaming on Tidal and all other platforms. Do you know why? Because Tidal is artist friendly. Tidal is artist owned. I heard of a sale recently, but a large part of equity is still with the artist. They give you the most for a stream behind Napster, which no one uses in America, right? And to this very day, we know this, and it is still the hardest thing in the world to get people to leave Apple Music and Spotify to come to Tidal, which is Black owned to an extent, right? Because we have this mentality about, it's just like this bougie materialistic sense of like, oh, like, if it's owned by us, it's gotta be a little bit janky. Or, nah, I'm comfortable where I'm at, F that. The entire industry would be better off if we all abandoned these streaming platforms and went to Tidal, because artists would get more money for their streams. But guess what? Without a union in place, these artists are never going to get where they're trying to go.
Right. Well, I mean, I can one up you with the Tidal thing. You know what I'm saying? You can go to Bandcamp.
There you go.
Right? You can go right to Bandcamp, put your music on. You can bypass all of that and go to Bandcamp. Not YouTube. Not YouTube. Because YouTube is going to take
not YouTube.
YouTube is going to take 40% of they're going to take 40% of the ad revenue. You can put your music on YouTube as well, so that you can get some of the ad revenue, so that you can get that ad revenue, or if you're doing videos, whatever it is. But
they also got to like you at YouTube.
Bandcamp, you can put all your stuff on Bandcamp. You can sell merchandise. You make out on Bandcamp. You can make out on Bandcamp.
That's
obviously
very true.
Obviously the market is, the reason why people go to the streaming services is because of the way that everything is set up with the streaming services. You can get put into a playlist. You get put into a playlist. You got people there that's just, all the fans are at the streaming services, right? That's the reason why people want to get onto the streaming services, because that's where all the fans are. And of course, it makes them look legit. Okay, I'm on Tidal, I'm on Spotify, this or that. Now, if you're going through, I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're going through something like CD Baby, Reverb Nation, or something like that, and they get your music, they distribute your music to to Spotify, blah 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 blah. As an independent artist, you're getting at the least 80% of the revenue. Most of the time, it's more than that, right? A little bit, a pinch of it, a little bit of it goes to CD Baby or whoever did the distribution. Some of it goes to Spotify or whoever. You're getting, the sales. Let me say that, the sales. You're getting the sales. You're getting a large portion of the sales. The streaming is different, especially with Spotify. The streaming you get, when you talk about the streaming, you get like 0.002 cents or something like that per stream, something crazy like that.
That's what we got to get Negroes making software, bro.
So
we
like
got to get making softwares, bro.
Yeah. So
because once we do that, guess where the power's at now?
Right. Exactly. So the streaming part of it, if people buy it, you get a high portion of it. But when people just stream it, not getting that much. So
let me ask you this, because I hear what you and Savvy are saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, and I believe what y'all saying is to be facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why wouldn't you just create your own streaming service using an app? Use it, say create your thing for $1,600 where people can download it to their phone and they can have, say, a Uncle Freezy and Savvy D app with all our music and videos and merch on it. And so me and Savvy D spent $1,600, right? We just put the bill $800 a piece. We just figured that's the cost of doing business. And from there, we get 100% of all our streams and sales. Why wouldn't we just do it that way?
Well, I think the biggest reason why is because it's the people are on the streaming platforms. It's the same reason. It's the same reason why I'm streaming right now on YouTube instead of streaming on just my website. I have a website, and I could stream this to my website. But the only people that's going to the only people that's going to go there are people that know about it. Right. On YouTube, I get people already that are just browsing.
Yep.
And then they get not a notification, but it recommends to them because they're just browsing. You know what I mean? So that's the benefit of being on one of those places. You know what I mean?
The timing is very important too, because you need to identify a point of leverage where your fan base is strong enough to follow you somewhere.
Right.
And that by creating that partition away from the other services, that you are not limiting yourself from gaining new fans. Right.
Exactly.
Not only that, but you need to find a trusted app developer, or you need to do it yourself.
Right.
And when you put the app out, it's free. Exactly. But you gotta put the hours in to learn it. That's why I told you guys what I'm engaged in, in my spare time, because I'm like, this is where all the power is at now. But guess what? When you put your app out and the app crashes, or the user interface is not as sleek as the other thing, you're gonna lose some people right there. They're gonna be like, this is janky. Yep. I'm going back to this.
But the thing is though, Big Dog, is YouTube is an app. You know what I'm saying? So YouTube is an app. It's a developer owned by Google. You know what I'm saying? So
and look, most of your website services today, you get yourself a website service, Wix. All right, Wix. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna shout out Wix because I own stock in Wix, so Wix,
Hey.
Right. Hey. Okay. But
go buy Wix, make us rich.
Yeah, go. Yeah, Wix. You can upload your own music, and there's an app right in there, and people can go listen to it. Boom, just like that. You can listen to it on your phone. You can listen to it wherever. All right. It's about the audience. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And I do want to go back. a little bit. We were talking about the streaming service with Spotify, blah, 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 and how much you get from a stream. Very little from a stream, right? If you're doing just streaming, obviously on YouTube, people are not going to download the songs, right? I guess if you have they have YouTube Music now. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Right, but if you post your stuff on YouTube, and every time somebody streams it, you get 40% of that ad revenue.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that could work out better than Spotify or Tidal or whatever.
Is that how it works for YouTube? Once you get ads on your thing, you get 40% of the revenue.
Once you get ads on it, you get 60%, not 40%. You get 60% of the revenue.
Because I'm gonna have to go back and look at some of our YouTube music. And be like, listen, you feel me? Because I didn't know that.
Yes. So if you upload a song to YouTube, right, and it gets 1 million views, that one song gets 1 million views. And if those 1 million views, speaking realistically, brings in $5,000, right, you'll probably get $3,000 to $3,500 of it. YouTube will get $1,500 of it or whatever.
And look what you got to do to get 3 racks off.
Yeah, I know.
Look what you got to do. That's why it's important to know what the stream is worth.
Right. And look, so there you go, right? 1 million views to try to get, you're not working.
3K. But you're not working though, because once you upload it, it's uploaded. You're not doing anything.
You gotta work to get those streams. But but here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why, especially YouTube artists, they put out so much music, right? because the more music, it's like me putting out videos. If I was getting 1 million views for every single video that I would put out, I'm gonna put a video out every other day.
Right.
Right? Because now I'm getting $3,000-$4,000 every other day. Right. So you have these, they put out so much music because they know they're getting, and if you're somebody that's getting 4 or 5 million views, if you're getting 4 or 5 million views, you're making 15, 20 racks every time you drop a song. You know what I'm saying? So you drop a song once. You drop a song once a month. You're not doing too bad, and that's just on YouTube.
Freezy, you're nodding your head, right? Imagine how much YouTube is making compared to your 20 racks.
Well, yeah, off of your song,
here's 20 racks.
If you're making 20, then off of your song, they're probably making 15. But also off of my song, they're making 15. Off of Tony's song, they're making 15. And off of Freezy's song, they're making 15.
And they're gonna sell our data to a third-party company.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what they do.
But it's better than $1. At first, it's better than $1 an album for one. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what people were making before. The $1 per album thing. And then too, if you had your own proprietary software where you can develop your own app, you'd be getting 100% of all that. Bringing the crowd though is an issue. But if you're an established artist like a De La Soul, I don't see why you don't have, an app where you can do, because you already have a hardcore audience and you're still semi-relevant compared to other old school acts.
Right. I think what you have to do, if you're someone like a De La Soul, or if you're, an established artist, I think you've got to utilize the social media, right?
Yep.
So I think what you do is this. I think you utilize YouTube and all of that. You get 150,000, 200,000, 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, right? And then, you consistently putting out content, and you might show everybody, I'm making this song. You get them little pieces here and there, here and there. Okay, the song is going to be released, but if you go get it, you got to go to my website to get it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you got to utilize, you got to build that audience through your social media, through YouTube, through Instagram, all of that. You got to build your audience through there, and then transition them over to your website. But you've got to have enough power, enough audience buy-in that they're like, yep, let me go over to the website because I want that song, or I want this album, or whatever it is. I'm going to go over to the website. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're smart, when they go over to your website, you got some ads on your website where you get some money off of that too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just, nothing that overpowers it, but just a little bit of ads here and there where, because if you put too many ads on there, then your website is going to look janky.
Like a NASCAR. You look like a NASCAR vehicle.
And there's smart guys out there. There's smart guys out there that know this and make good music, and they're like, nah, I ain't doing none of that. I'm going to take the money now, because if it takes me 6 months to develop this website, this app, and do all of this and get all my affairs in order, I could get shot by then.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I mean?
And so they take it now, and then this what happens, right? Def Jam, whoever. I don't want to just throw out any of these labels. Like I just talked about putting the ads on your website, right?
Yeah.
They got all these artists coming to the website. All these people coming to their website to see artists. They throw an ad here, a couple of ads here and there. Right? Yeah. So not only are they just making money because they're selling your music, but they're making money because all of these people want to come to their website so that they can learn about the artist.
Right.
And then they got ads on the website where they're making money from that too.
Hand over fist.
And they can get paid. They can get paid. Once you start really getting a following, you can get paid from these ads. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can get. I mean, I've done a versus battle and made $1,000 in 2 hours just doing the versus battle because of the ads on.
You don't make no $500 an hour. Are you serious?
Hey,
I lied to you not. I lied to you not that it happened, bro. I lied to you not.
I
you my
seen it.
man 50 grand, and you
I
know
lied
when
to you
when
not.
you say stuff to me, I look at it as fact. But you just told me with a straight face
I'm
that your
telling you,
ass
bro.
made $500 an
Yes.
hour.
Yes,
Yo,
I lied to you. I
seen
lied to
the
you not,
super
bro.
chat. The super chats was rolling in one time, and I was like, "Yo, Sim."
I lied to you not. I mean,
You know what I mean?
without, because when you're live streaming, you can turn on ad revenue, right? If I'm doing a live, sometimes those versus battles get 20,000 people in there, right, at one time. That means that actually 100,000 people actually came in, because most people come in for 2 or 3 seconds, 2 or 3 minutes, jump out. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, jump out. Right? Somebody else comes in. So if it's staying consistently at 20,000, that means there was actually 100,000 people that came in. So boom, that every time someone clicked in, they looked at a commercial.
Right.
Right? Just off of that, without super chats, 100,000 people come into your live stream, right? Without super chats, and all you're doing is sitting and talking like this. Now, ain't no 100,000 people coming here, right? Not tonight, but like doing the versus battle, sometimes 100,000 people comes in, right? Only 20,000 people are in there at one time, but 100,000 people comes in, 110, 120. You might make $700 just off the ad revenue, right? These artists have to learn how to use their celebrity. They have a certain celebrity already. You know what I'm saying? Already. And if they got they got their Instagram accounts, YouTube, they got these accounts. And if they learn how to use it, go live, turn the ad revenue on, they make money without doing nothing but what they're already doing.
Right.
Somebody got to educate them on that stuff.
And that's why Young Boy will sometimes put stuff like, I'm pretty sure I saw him one time put something out early on YouTube, and it came out everywhere else after, because his fan base really messes with him on YouTube. Like Young Boy's got YouTube Plex. Like he's really moving out here with his YouTube audience, and he's eating.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, for an up and coming artist, yeah, it's hard to develop and it's hard to get that following on YouTube. But for these established artists, that all they got to do is go on Instagram and say, yo, go follow my YouTube page. Go follow this page, that page, this page, and that page. And they can make money without doing anything but going live like they normally do.
Right.
So it's different ways, and especially, let's say, on Redman, and I'm on YouTube, and if I go live and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to show them the process that I'm going through to making music, and I do a 2-hour live stream of me just in the studio recording with a group of my friends, they probably get he probably get 2,000-3,000 people in there. Right? At one time, which means probably 10,000 to 12,000 people jumped on.
Right.
Which means he probably made $100, $200, $300 or something like that, and maybe even more. People jump in, but he made that amount of money by just recording
what he was already doing.
He didn't have to do no other work but have somebody sit there and stream it for him. You know what I'm saying? And get that people a little personal, little something.
Right.
That's why I'm trying to build this up. So we got 3,000 people in there. Then I can say, yo, what's your Cash App? So I could throw y'all something for helping me out. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all in here religiously. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, I already told you before. The only time me and you gonna fall out is when you think that you owe me something. I do this for the love. I do this because I like chopping it up with Tony Crow and Savvy D. Even if we don't agree, this ain't even about the bread for me. It's about the love.
I feel you, but you still. I feel you, man. But it's still taking up your time, man. Still using your time.
Let's talk about something else. I ain't want to hear that.
No, wait a minute. That's easy for Freezy to say. He's already rich. All right. I set my Cash App.
We got to build this up for my man, because he put this
what I'm saying?
Here.
I live at home.
Out here for us to help push forward the culture.
No, absolutely.
And you know what I'm saying? We come on here to help my man build his channel. And for those that don't know, man, subscribe. hit that like button.
That's it, baby.
Get
Subscribe.
that like conversion up. Don't just come through and watch the video. Get that like conversion rate up so that YouTube, because it'll have, so that we can get this YouTube algorithm matching more, so we can reach more hardcore hip hop fans when they get on here. Because they search and they can't find nothing, but we out here for them. But they can't find us because we not hitting that like button.
Yeah,
so
man.
hit that like button and share it.
Yeah, man. But yo, this been a really good conversation. I'm glad we back. It's been a while. You know what I'm saying? So we back in effect. Listen, everybody that's, we got 53 people in here, so we can get 53 likes. That'd be dope. You know what I'm saying? But listen, every Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, at 9 p.m., Hip Hop Society and Life. This is what we're talking about every Tuesday. Not just talking about this, but every Tuesday. Podcast here, Hip Hop Society and Life. And then this Thursday, 9 p.m., we're doing all independent hip hop. We got about 5, 6 songs we're going to review. Passport Rav, I don't know if you remember him. Passport Rav is going to be on the show. We reviewed him a while back, and he's got a dope song, a brand new song that's coming out tomorrow, actually. And the song is about mental health in the black community. It's a dope song. So I heard it already. It's a dope song. So he's gonna come on Thursday and talk about it. You know what I mean? So make sure that you join us on Thursday, man. It's gonna be a dope show. We're gonna be listening to music and breaking down music, not just we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, but we're gonna be listening to music, breaking down music and stuff like that. So it's pretty dope. And the artists, we try to get as many streams to those shows as possible, because all the ad revenue goes to those artists. The artists that we bring on the show, all the ad revenue goes to those artists. So the more people we can get watching the show, we try to help out, try to get these independent artists, get their music out there and all of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm about to head out. Fellas, I really appreciate you guys. If you want to stay on the stream afterwards for a second, or in the Zoom afterwards for a second, I do want to just say to everybody, please, you can continue the conversation by going over to the 24/7 stream. Right now, there's nobody in there. You know what I'm saying? But we're trying to get it up so that there's constantly people in there. In the next 2 weeks, I'll be updating the server. Right now, the server can only play music on the stream, but I'll be updating so that I can also have some video going at the same time. So what I'll have is like a constant stream, like you see right now. There's a constant stream of hip hop news going up in the corner. On that page, there'll be a constant stream of hip hop news. So you can go there, you can listen to some good independent music, and you can also watch, just check out some news. And then as it evolves, we'll have some, possibly have some performances on that channel, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. I got to see how it evolves, but I want it to evolve to be more than just a straight up stream of just music. But every once in a while, we jump in and do a show, you know what I'm saying, on that stream or something like that. So I got to see how it works out, because my server is actually going to be in Pennsylvania and I'm in Maryland. You know what I mean? So I got to see how it's going to work out, but I can figure out how to make it work. I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? Even if I have to pre-record the shows that's going to be on there, but we just got to get people over there. You know what I'm saying? Constantly in there talking and building up, because it's a live chat going, and it's also music. So and if you know people that want to submit their music, go to that stream. In the description, you can click on the link in the description. They can submit their music. So it's dope.
Right.
All right. But anyway, I'm heading out. Everybody, please, you can go over to the stream. Continue the conversation over at the stream. I'm putting the link right here in the YouTube chat. All right. I know people's not gonna be in there 24/7. You know what I mean? But the more people we got in there, going in there, constantly posting in the chat and all that kind of stuff, the more it's gonna get sent out, the more it's gonna be referred, and YouTube is gonna refer it. You know what I mean? But anyway, I appreciate you guys, man, for taking the time. Hopefully you catch us on Thursday. Look forward to receiving the notification. And it's dope, man. I'm out.
Hip hop.
Peace.
Be peaceful, ladies and gentlemen. Out of here.